Good evening. I wrote my comments down because these are actually comments I was going to take to the meeting that was in September by the West Virginia Department of Education, but we were not allowed to speak. So I came tonight so someone would listen to me. I actually also wrote this down. This is something I'm very, very passionate about. I get emotional about. So if I'm reading, it'll help me out a little bit. But basically, let me just start out telling you some of my qualifications. I live here in Berkeley County. I went to Shepherd University. I love math. I love teaching. I love West Virginia. I love America. So basically, I find myself to be very, very loyal to the state because, as many teachers know around here, it's easy to jump borders and make $15,000 or $20,000 more to work in Maryland or Virginia, but I'm loyal to my state. And I'm a certified math teacher. I've gotten several awards. I was 2015 Berkeley County Teacher of the Year. I have been involved with the West Virginia Department of Education since its inception of the Common Core in 2010. They recognized me as an accomplished teacher in mathematics, so they've asked me to be involved. And they are basically, I guess, I'm one of the teachers that they said created Common Core. I did not create Common Core. I had zero input on what curriculum was supposed to be. I was definitely told what to do and given pigeonholes to put the pegs in. And so I work for them. I do that because I want to be educated. That's why I came tonight to listen to you. I like to know the facts. I don't like to be a talking head and believe everything else that everybody's telling me. So I've been studying Common Core since 2015. I helped change the code. I helped West Virginia decide whether they wanted in high school to go with the integrated or the traditional pathway. I wrote the standards for West Virginia's Advanced Mathematical Modeling, a fourth-year math course. I wrote acuity questions. That's our old testing system for grades 4 through 11 for their cluster quizzes. I aligned acuity questions from 21st century to Common Core standards. I went to the Smarter Balance Assessment Consortium in October of last year, and I helped to set achievement level descriptors that I saw you had up there. And literally, I guess I was a basis for creating that scale score. And again, that was definitely, I was given a framework, and that was an interesting experience as well. I've checked questions for AIR for their test bank. And I have also helped try to educate West Virginia teachers on Smarter Balance Assessment. I just want to say that I think we should get rid of the Common Core state standards in West Virginia. As far as math, my only expertise is in mathematics. I do not know about English, and I must honestly say that my strongest expertise is in grades 6 through 12, basically 11. I don't think I'm an expert or could speak strongly on elementary mathematics or English at all. I think West Virginia teachers should be asked to write the test bank as a solution, so I want to get rid of it. I think we should go back to the 21st century content standards and objectives we had before. We should be asked to write the questions because we are professionals and we should be treated as such. I also believe that one of the math classes that should be offered in West Virginia, which I started working with the West Virginia State Treasurer's Office in 2008, right around the time that the market crashed. Literally, West Virginia's treasurer recognized it as a problem, and I think personal finance should be a math class for every single student by the time they graduate from high school. That has not been done, but I think it should be. I only have 2 pros for the Math Common Core state standards if they stay. I like the function-based approach that it uses in teaching mathematics because, to be honest, math is math. All right, it's been the same for thousands and thousands of years. I do like the function-based approach, and I do like the math practices. I do like asking students to actually implement and apply the content. My concerns. As far as, and this is from the West Virginia Department of Education, the standards review that they put up in July was a joke. I went in to do that, and I don't know if any of you guys did, but literally it would have taken me hours and hours and days and weeks to do what I wanted to do to that. I don't have time for that. I have a job and I have a family, and I hate to think that they did it on purpose, but I kind of feel like they did, created it in a way where my true feelings would not have been seen. or heard. So that really disappointed me. When I started out with helping out the state in 2010, basically the teachers, all of them revered, accomplished teachers. In 2010, we had two things that we wanted to make sure were done, that there was serious ongoing staff development for this because it was so much different than what we had always done, and that students would be held accountable. Neither one of those things has happened. Some people in West Virginia try to say that the Common Core state standards is not the West Virginia standards. It is word for word. Not one word was changed. Here's my main concern as a high school. I teach 11th grade. I teach advanced placement statistics. I teach West Virginia University College algebra. I teach probability and statistics. And I now teach math 11. And that class is a nightmare. And it's not the students' fault. They want to make me happy. They want to do their best. But the content is actually way too hard for them. As far as really Common Core is written at the lexile level, I consider myself to be a pretty intelligent person, but when I have to read a standard for mathematics 3, 4, 5 times to figure out if I can understand what it wants, I find that to be a problem. And I can think something different, and Wendy can think something different about the exact same standard. It's too open for interpretation for me. It's just too hard to read. We're asking kids to know way too much math. I know that's not politically correct to say, but I believe for them to be successful, they're required to take math 1, 2, and 3 to be college and career ready. And if you look at those and compare them to the standards that we had before, that includes Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, Trigonometry, Probability and Statistics, and most of pre-calculus. They're doing 6 years of math in 3. And I hate to say that they can't do it, but they can't do it. All right? And so what's ultimately happening so that kids can pass is teachers really have a dichotomy there as to whether they're going to help their kids pass and graduate high school or whether they're going to teach these extremely advanced concepts. It is way too hard in high school. I don't know, maybe this is, again, probably not something that's politically correct, but I care about my students, I care about West Virginia, I care about my county, and I care about their future success as an American citizen. And maybe our standards as far as graduation requirements need to be lowered since those classes are just way too much. The test took entirely too long. There's absolutely no way it should take 12 weeks to implement a test in a high school. You need to better equip teachers rather than saying just check a website or a resource, because there are no textbooks for the West Virginia Common Core. So we're told to look at a website. So it's like a labyrinth trying to figure out what is the best practice. I'm tired of rhetoric and misconceptions about Common Core. I feel like so many people talk when they don't even know what they're talking about. And they get heard just as much as people that do know what they're talking about. And I think it muddies the water. I think teachers and parents, I'm worried for him that he's in with other students that are going to make sure that they pass, and what's going to happen to him if he could actually be achieving higher than he is. I'm afraid he's going to get lazy, and that he is going to realize that his bare minimum is someone else's absolute best, and therefore he's not going to understand the idea of hard work. I think you need to trust teachers, let us do our job, let us be the professionals, let us have the say, let us decide whether they pass or fail, because we went to school to do that, and I think we're educated enough to do that.
Hey, Holly, stay there for a second, if you don't mind. Since she's already let the cat out of the bag, I've been talking to Holly for probably the last 2 months or so. And then I've talked to some of my former teachers also. She's, I think it's on the same page length, whatever as she is. Just a question for you. And the teacher I'm referring to, you know who I'm talking about, and that whole school is supposedly against the integrated. Do you feel the same way?
Against the integrated?
The integrated pathway that we have adopted. We either could do the traditional geometry, algebra 2, trig, calculus, or we could do the integrated. Would you rather have the integrated or the traditional? She wanted the traditional, I'll just tell you what she said.
I don't like Common Core, period.
Okay, I understand.
So-
And then a lot of people will tell you that the integrated choice was something that wasn't necessarily part of Common Core, but that was one of the pathways.
It is, it totally is a choice. As far as algebra, geometry, algebra 2, the only problem I have with that is my preference, but in Common Core standards, it's still covering all 6 of those classes. So what you thought in 1970 or 1980 or 1990 is algebra 1 is not algebra 1 in Common Core. And algebra 2 is not algebra 2.
I understand, exactly. To get back to traditional math, the way we were taught, well, at least in Tally, Ken and I probably had all the same algebra 1 back in 1983 or whatever it was. We know that's what we're wanting to get. At least that's what I want to get back to. I haven't taught them near as long as you have, but I taught statistics, and that's why I was shocking to see some of these. The ACT statistics, 68%. Would they ever accept that in the drug industry? I know they wouldn't build airplanes. So it's amazing that we're using that as an acceptance measure for college at a 68% level. I didn't know that. And you teach statistics, most of your reliabilities are 90-95%. All your polling for politicians, for instance, is 95%. I mean, so why would we have an educational reliability set so low? If you raised it up to 90-some%, plus or minus 2 goes where? It broadens a great deal. So I do appreciate your courage.
Yeah. Hopefully there's no backlash.
Well,